Follows if you've been watching and practicing your level 4 material. You'll notice that everything we've taught so far in this level has been with a rock step for your stretch. However, we really want the follows to keep doing those twists on 1 and 2, because twists really demonstrate what Lindy Hop is, and our old clips have a lot of those twists. So the question becomes, how do we do that twist, but still have a stretch that feels like that kind of stretch? So what we want to do with our twist, I want to make sure that my arms and my upper body are twisting the opposite direction as my feet and my hips. So upper body goes one way, and then as I twist, it's going to rotate to the other direction. So the end result looks something like this, where the top and the bottom are moving in opposite directions. Now if I move these two parts of my body in opposition, in equal amounts of opposition, then my net is straight. So for my leader, it feels the same if I do this, or if I give him this that rotates opposite directions. So if I'm connected to my partner and I have a 1-2 twist, I'm going to be twisting this way into my arm, and this right here is that same stretch as this stretch right here. So I want to engage this muscle in my right arm as I twist to the right, and I'm turning into my arm and engaging this shoulder muscle, and then as I twist back that way, it's opposition, but for Brian it feels the same. So we have a rock step. Now if you mastered the solo movement lesson called arms, you'll know that we do the rock step and then the arm switch. So I have to make sure that I'm not doing anything funny with this arm during my twists. That doesn't mean that I disengage it. I do want him to feel something. I want him to feel that I'm matching his stretch. So I don't want to disengage my arm, but I don't want to do this with him. And we will see a lot of follows do that as they're trying to really master putting their twists in the swing out. So we see some girls doing this with the arm. And if we see that happening, it means that both parts are moving the same way, the top and the bottom. So instead, remember, both have to move opposite directions. So for Brian, it just feels the same as a regular rock step. Okay, now after we do that rock step, the arm felt like a stretch, and we finish, and then we come in for the triple step. So a rock step, arms. Okay, now follows right there. There's 2 elements of matching that are very important. The first is shoulder matching. So as we come around for our triple step, I'm watching Brian's shoulders, and I want to make sure that I stay right in front of him. So that's our shoulder matching. Second is our arm matching, or our hands in the middle matching. And so as he does his arm swing right here, whoop, I'm going to make sure that I keep hands in the middle. So if he wants a lot from me, he's going to bring that in really fast, or he might keep it loose. But my job is to make sure that I match how much he asked for, and that I maintain the hands in the middle. This is something we see incorrectly done by follows a lot of the time. The leaders will go to do that arm swing after count number 2. Remember, the arms are moving on the and counts. And the follows won't match the elbow. So we see this a lot. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And you can see I just kind of let my arm go limp. And I think sometimes that happens because we're really focusing on staying loose and relaxed. And we don't want the sensation of like, oh, he pulled me. But it's not necessarily pulling. He has to swing his arms there. The solo movement behind the swing out tells him he needs to move his arm after the rock step. Brian's actually really relaxed, even though we have a straight line here, he's really loose. So follows, that means I'm matching and I'm staying loose. I'm supporting my own weight. I'm not leaning back on him here. I'm just in this ready position with my weight over my toes. Some leaders will ask for a lot right here, and if that's the case, hands need to stay in the middle, so I'm going to match back. Okay, follows, if we've mastered the solo movement of the swing out, then we know this rock step stays right in place. So my left foot stays in place, rock step, and then my arms swing. So what we don't want to see is rock, reach. Now when we're doing our twists, the same thing applies. And this is where we see some follows doing this incorrectly. So they'll do a twist and a twist forward, which means they're moving their arm before they should have been moving their arm. And if we're following that solo movement, the arm moves after that rock step or twist, twist. So here we are, we've done that first triple step. Follows, we want to make sure that your right foot is in between the leader's legs. So something we see follows get hung up on a lot is that they try to do like a triple step or a triple step and end a little bit like sideways. And as soon as I go in for that triple step, my job is to aim my right foot right in between his legs. So I'm going to go twist, twist, aim my right foot. And triple step, it stays in the middle. So we'll show it again. We have rock step, I aim my right foot right there in the middle. Okay, follows, most of us are pretty good at shoulder matching through that first half of the swing out. On the second half of the swing out, hopefully the leader is leading a rock step on the second half of the swing out, here. Which means as a follow, I'm shoulder matching, so I should have gone straight ahead. And this is where we see a lot of follows if they've danced with various different types of leaders. We see follows going around here, even if the leader does straight back, or that the follow turns herself right here and forces the leader to turn his body. So we need to be ready for whatever's going to happen on the second half of this swing out. So Brian, because he's been learning with the Lindy Ladder, he's going to do straight back on this rock step, and I'm going to stay in front. Now, if you remember from our solo lesson, the arms move after 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. So that arm swing after count 4 is what releases me across on the second half of the swing out. So we have 3 and 4, and you can see Brian switched his arms there and let go of my back. So I should be right here where he put me. Now follows, for the rest of the swing out, our job is to shoulder match. So Brian's going to come around 6, 7, and 8. For me, with a really good leader, this feels like I'm staying really close to him in a crowded hallway, and really like I'm about to give him a hug. So we do 3 and 4, and hug, and stay tight in the hallway. But the important thing is that my shoulders match him, no matter how he decides to get around me, that I'm matching him. 3 and 4, and 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right, follows, as we're remembering that our swing out comes from this solo bass movement, you'll notice as we're doing our front to back that the arms swing against my side. And as they're brushing my side, what that really translates to is elbows are on the bottom, bottom, bottom. So when we come in for the swing out, you'll notice Brian keeps his elbow on the bottom when he comes in. And so should I. My elbow stays here, not out here. Now the same is true here. You can see Brian has an elbow down. It's not up here. Like sometimes we see a little bit of like a ballroom type of frame. And because this is a little more of a street dance, the arms stay at the side when they're swinging. So Brian's elbow is down, which means my elbow comes down, and I'm just resting it here. So one thing we see a lot with follows is that they're running away from their partner and initiating that stretch, where I should just be hanging out really close to Brian until he says, hey, we're going to stretch again and go into something else. So let's see if we can demonstrate this incorrectly. So we go 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can see how I backed away from him, and now we're already stretched out in the middle of that triple step. So when we go to do a rock step, I don't have any additional to stretch with. So we then see the follows do like a 1, 2, and they come forward because they've already used up all of the stretch. So follows, our job is not to create stretch, only to match our partner. 3 and 4 and 5, 6, I stay close, and then he led stretch, so I go ahead and stretch with him. Last check for follows. A lot of times follows will get really excited about stretch and translate that to some type of a counterbalance, and they expect the leader to hold them up. And I want to say that in a few levels from now, we're going to work really hard on counterbalance and how to do it correctly. But right now in level 4, the way that we're learning this swing out is with a solo movement. So our solo movement demands that I can maintain my own weight and that my shoulders stay just a little bit over my toes. So when I go to do my swing out with Brian, even with the twist, my weight is a little bit over my toes and my pulse stays here on my legs. So I have here and then right here, I'm still supporting myself. So if he let go, it feels the same to me. This is still the solo movement. And then we have 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm still maintaining my own weight. But for now, in level 4, we want you to focus on that solo-based movement and how that translates into a really great swing out.